feeling. And I said, nothing will change unless I change.
Mm.
And I started to actually read about a little bit of science. Why am I acting like this? I started to write what turned into my books, except a fewer days that suck. But really, it was just my journal trying to figure out how to enjoy my life more. What is it that I really like to do and need to do to bring the fun back? Because I had lost the joy, the fun. And I think so many of us get trapped in that cycle and we don't know how to get unstuck. And I figured it out.
Deborah Mallow has a sunny way of looking at things, but her perspective comes from a moment when things weren't so sunny and she'd become out of touch with what mattered most to her. So she decided to change things around. This is a story about doing what's in your heart, taking risks, and finding purpose in life. Deborah, welcome to Bump in the Road. If you would, tell us your story.
Hi, Pat. I'm so glad to be here. And my story actually started, my pivot point was on a New York City subway platform. I live in Manhattan, and I was working as a pharmaceutical rep for many years. And I was pushing myself to always be number one, to do my very best every day. I've always been about that in my design career and then as a pharmaceutical rep. But with that, pushing myself so hard, I became a different person than who I truly am. Negativity set in. I was exhausted because I wasn't eating well or sleeping well. I was getting up early and getting out early and setting my day and making the calls. And there was anger and fear and all the things that I just felt wasn't me because I'm basically a positive person. But we can all get trapped in a cycle of negativity.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's when tears started to come roll down my cheeks. And I said, I could feel it right now, that feeling. And I said, nothing will change unless I change.
Mm.
And I started to actually read about a little bit of science. Why am I acting like this? I started to write what turned into my books, except a fewer days that suck. But really, it was just my journal trying to figure out how to enjoy my life more. What is it that I really like to do and need to do to bring the fun back? Because I had lost the joy, the fun. And I think so many of us get trapped in that cycle and we don't know how to get unstuck. And I figured it out. I don't worry about things anymore, things that chances are will never happen. I get up each morning and I want to enjoy my day. And that's what I do now is I help other people move through their life so they can get to the other side, so they can find their sunshine.
I think the point that nothing changes until you change is a really important one.
I definitely believe that. And therapy or doing it yourself, however anybody wants to do it, is we have to change the things in ourselves that are not working for us, that are taking the wind out of our sails, that are not allowing us to enjoy life, to pursue our dreams, to go forward and be present in each moment, to enjoy our loved ones, to enjoy our friends, to enjoy our life, whatever that means to anybody. I encourage people to make a list because I find when you take a little time, and not a lot of time, to see what you really want to achieve in your life, it becomes clear, or it becomes clearer, because nothing happens by itself and it doesn't happen overnight anyhow. It's little steps that have a big impact over time. And I'm a testament to we can change if we want to change. And it feels so much better than that whole idea of banging your head against the wall. That really hurts.
What is it that keeps people from changing?
I think get so used to just doing things a certain way, or as we, as sometimes you could say, the negative sometimes can feel like an old friend. It just gets comfortable. You're talking about a comfort zone, and we just stay stuck. Even though we want to change, sometimes we don't know how. We get stuck. We feel we don't have time. We feel we're stuck in a job that we don't like or with a partner we don't like. And we sort of just don't give ourselves permission to see what it is we want. It's that old self care. It's not selfish. It's really about doing things in life that fulfill us, because then we can be the best we can be for other people that come along with us on our journey.
Where do you find the time to do this?
I don't think of it as taking time. I think of it as just doing little steps at a time. When
Mhm.
a negative thought crosses your mind, you now are aware of that. So you just trade a negative thought for a positive thought. When we get angry, we have the choice to choose, do we want to go down the rabbit hole, or are we going to stop ourselves and reflect before acting and save ourselves all that time and misery? So I think by doing these things that stop us from being negative, from doing things that we don't enjoy doing, we're actually saving ourselves time.
But I think part of that goes to being conscious of your thoughts because you can't change them until you recognize them. And then with your attitudes, it usually involves going really deep into your life, off into your childhood to try to figure out why you have a certain belief system.
That is true, that it can stem from childhood, it can stem from someone else's criticism,
Mhm.
our fear of judgment. I mean, fear is real. It's like that whole negativity bias. When you think about it, it's just something that's ingrained in us from the early humans or the cavemen, that we tend to prioritize negative thoughts over positive ones. Understanding that our brains seek patterns, and we have a choice to create more positive patterns than negative, because we can reshape our thinking, reframe our perspective. It's just a matter of how we want to actually address, if you want to call it, the issue or the problem at hand. And I just find dealing with things in the moment is so much easier than having the weight of it on our shoulders. I just find the weight of all the negativity, of all the things that we don't enjoy in our lives, just keep bubbling up and never changing. I find it easier to deal with it. And I think maybe some people are just, they just don't want to deal, or it's comfortable, whatever it is. But if we want something enough as human beings, the beautiful thing is we can go after them. And I've read about so many people who've overcome struggles, and I included in my book all these little stories because it's part of human nature.
Yeah.
We all struggle. Life is messy and nothing is going to necessarily be easy. Yes, some things are easier than others. And that's why I always say pick things that you to do in your life that are comfortable for you. Why stress ourselves out all the time? And what happens is I find when you tend to do that, it just becomes habit. So I tend to like to flip the script and make positive habits instead of negative ones. And that's how I live my life now. I lived it the other way, and it was no fun, no fun at all. So it's a choice. It is a choice. And I hope that maybe people listening to this could think about it a little bit and say, I rather enjoy more and worry less. Not that every day will be perfect. It won't be, but it could be better most of the time than not. I really believe that.
You bring up the idea of fear, and there's an fear, some people say, stands for false evidence appearing real. And really, that's so true because fear is usually future based. It hasn't happened. And you're worrying about something that doesn't exist in the moment.
It's so true. There's a study out of Penn State, researchers studied this, that 91% of what we worry about never happens. So how's that? And that's why, Pat, I don't worry because exactly what you said, it's in the future. And chances are, because I've seen this throughout my life, chances are what you worry about won't be the thing that happens. It's what you're
Yeah.
not worrying about, which I don't want to scare people. Don't start worrying about every little thing to try to figure out what could possibly happen. Just enjoy the moment in the present. And what I like to say, and I say it all the time to myself, what really matters? And when you put it in perspective and say, what really matters? Your loved ones matter, your health matters. Those little things that happen in the moment, somebody saying something not so nice about you, or maybe you didn't achieve a goal, keep moving forward and just enjoy your life. I think it's just so important that we take the time to enjoy the day or find something meaningful in each day. And if we set ourselves up to do that first thing in the morning, positive affirmation, however you like to do it. I like to smile every morning because that gets the endorphins percolating, makes me feel good. I find that you can set your day up the way you want it to be. And yes, surprises happen. People die, accidents happen, but it's all how we react. That's the key. Our reaction to what happens, to obstacles, how we work to overcome them. And the more we practice, the more we see that we can do hard work and overcome challenges, we will be able to put aside all the things that hold us back, that get us down, that make our lives not so enjoyable.
One of the things you mentioned, and I totally agree with you, is that it's about baby steps. Because you look at a task, and any task that's significant is overwhelming to look at it. It's just daunting. But if you break anything down into little baby steps, things that you can do every day, they really start to mount up, and that starts to gain synergy with your life. It gains energy, and it kind of takes on a life of its own. You just have to have that perseverance, though, to stick with those baby steps, don't you?
Absolutely. I really find it's how much you want whatever it is you want. And I think our lives are cherished. And yes, there are people who have really difficult lives and challenges
Mm.
that are almost unsurmountable, and my heart goes out to them. But but just keeping in mind that most times it's these little things that are not going to mean anything in a few days. And so many times we worry or get upset about something, and then 3 days later, think about it. It's like it never happened. So it's just in the moment, not making it so important, saying what really matters and keeping it in perspective, what's most important. Because we don't just ruin a day for ourselves. If we're in a foul mood, it ruins the day for everyone around us. And to me, that's
Yeah.
being selfish as well. So you're not honoring yourself and you're not honoring the people that you love.
Well, and I think that in being present, a lot of these future fears and past concerns fall away. And you really live and enjoy your life. I think many people go through life, are never present, and they look back and they almost don't have any salient features to hang their hat on. What happened? Were you there? If you're not there, you don't own that experience.
And that's so true, and that was back on that subway platform when I was reflecting and just feeling that whole sense is that I wasn't present in my everyday. I
Yeah.
was just caught in a cycle, as I mentioned, a cycle of negativity and just trying to win these awards. And yes, I did, but what did I lose in between? I gained that sense of fulfillment in one respect, but could I have done it in a different way to have enjoyed more and not let it take over my life? Now, I wasn't willing to stick around any longer to see. I wanted to actually change my life. So I didn't actually do that experiment. I went on a different journey because I just felt that it was time for me to do that and just change how I live my life and just to be able to enjoy more. Not everybody has the flexibility to be able to do that. So sometimes you just have to do the experiment and change in the situation you're in now. But being able to make a shift and then being very conscious, like we said, being aware of what we're doing every day and taking those baby steps and working through negativity, anger, fear, all the things that get in our way and moving forward is breathing life into ourselves. And life is too short to be grumpy. That's what I always say.
Well, you bring up a very good point. You mentioned in your book the preciousness of time. Was there a point in time when you realized that time was precious? Is it something you've always known? Was it a revelation?
I start to the tears start to well up and I feel like I'm in that moment. I think we always hear those words, but I think I became consciously aware of how precious time is as I'm getting older and at that moment on that on that subway platform. I really did. That's when those words that you always hear became reality. And I said to myself, I have to do it now, or who knows if I'll have tomorrow.
Yeah,
Because, when you're young, you think you'll live forever, or maybe some people don't, but it's a different kind of feeling. You feel more invincible. You don't maybe have the life perspective, but as I got older, my life perspective was there. And so
yeah.
I always knew those words. I would believe them, but they weren't real enough. That day they became real.
You know, they say we regret what we didn't do, not what we did do. And I think there's a lot of truth to that because I think that mistakes we've made that we might regret have a certain amount of wisdom in them. We've learned from them. But it's those opportunities every now and then that come up and you're like, "Oh, that really intrigues me. That feels right. It feels good." But you can't necessarily break away from where you are in your life. I think those are the opportunities that we regret not taking.
I absolutely believe that, and there I have to say that was the other reason that I decided to shift, because I didn't want to have regrets at the
Yeah.
end, because you always hear of people on their deathbed saying, "Life could have been so much simpler. I complicated it. Why didn't I do X, Y, Z? Why didn't I?" And then it's just too late, and I didn't wanna be in that situation. So, I have been very fortunate in the respect that I've had different career paths at different times in my life for good chunks of time. It's not like, as I told you earlier, like I was flitting around. I always wanted to do design as a young child, and I pursued that, and I did it for many years. I had my own design and licensing company with my husband. And then it was time to shift and have a child, and then needed to work, and I didn't want to go back to design, and I talked my way into a job as a pharmaceutical rep, and I really enjoyed that too. All my jobs that I had beforehand were about helping people. I always felt that need to be able to, in design, make people smile, in pharmaceuticals, to be able to help deliver a message in a very truthful, honest way and be authentic. And now I help clients get unstuck, to be able to find out, figure out together as an accountability partner. I'm sorry, as an accountability partner, because that's what I am. I'm not a therapist, but what I am is a cheerleader, somebody who has wisdom, somebody who's been through it. And I am so happy to be able to help people figure out what makes them tick, what makes them thrive. It's just so rewarding. So I feel that I finally found a place that works. But if I didn't have all the other experiences giving me confidence along the
Mhm.
way, because I believe confidence and resilience is so much a part of being able to feel good about ourselves, and building that confidence comes from the experiences in our lives, the accomplishments that we make. And everybody has accomplishments. It's how they want to look at it. Even small things we do every day, just cleaning the dishes. I get a good feeling by washing dishes in the morning. It's my morning ritual, just being calm and in just enjoying their lives. I really find that confidence, resilience, and making ourselves conscious of what really we enjoy in life, and then following that path, because why not? Life is meant to live and to enjoy it also. So figuring that out, and each person has a different journey, and respecting your journey, not trying to compare yourself to someone else. You're never going to be someone else. We all have our own gifts. Cherish those gifts. Feel confident in yourself. And that happens with baby steps, and also perspective, and growing and adapting.
I think another natural shift that we see in our lives is retirement. And it's one we don't talk about a lot because it is that opportunity to really look into our soul and say, what do I want to do? And yet, a lot of people find that a tough shift to make. I lived for a while in a golf community, and it drove me mad Every day, the people woke up, they had the same cup of coffee. They played golf with the same people. They had the same lunch at the same place. They had cocktails, the same cocktails that night. Had dinner, rinse and repeat the next day, and I felt like I was in the middle of, Groundhog Day, you know?
I
But
know.
on the other hand, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you wanna do, that's totally cool.
Yes.
But I think in terms of living, an interesting life, that retirement pivot point is really an opportunity if you make it so. And I think one of the things we're not doing in this society is planning 10 years ahead or so for how do I want to contribute? What do I want to create when I move from the corporate world or wherever you are into a retirement mode? Because I don't think the traditional retirement really exists anymore or is going to exist. I think we're going to ideally find ways to be productive and contributing our entire lives.
Oh, I agree 100% with that. It is so rewarding I find, to be able to try different things in your life. That's where you gain confidence.
Yeah,
When you try different things and you're willing to take a risk. I think I mentioned this to you. I mentioned in my book, I don't call failure failure. I've renamed it education because how else do you learn and grow? By making mistakes. That's the only way we can. And by paying it forward, helping others too, helps ourselves enjoy. And that's why I agree with you about taking time and just continuing your life. Maybe in retirement, you want to slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean that you stop thinking, that you stop growing, that you stop trying different things. And I think that being able to find different things to do that you enjoy is so rewarding. It's meaningful. And I'm with you. I mean, it's great. The golf is great. That's a great game. And you're
mhm,
being
it is.
social, and it's so good to be around people that you feel at one with and you connect with. And then mixing that with paying it forward and continuing to grow and keep your mind alert, because I think that also is a key to keeping it active and not losing it and not losing your memory of words. And it's important to keep reading and moving forward. It really is, and growing.
What do they say? Use it or lose it, and I think that really goes to your mind as you age.
Yes, I agree 100%. And I think that challenging ourselves is such an exciting part of life. I really do. As because that's, like I said, I believe confidence and resilience and positivity are the three things that help us live a meaningful, enjoyable life. To me, those three things are so important. And how else do you gain that? Stay positive, build confidence, be resilient, know that you can do hard things and overcome struggles. You have to keep doing that and showing yourself that you can and showing up. And I'm with you, Pat. I never want to stop enjoying, growing, and helping other people.